there, friends. Welcome back. I am in the Adirondacks. I am on the Phelps Trail, and I am attempting to do the Great Range Traverse today. I am already 8.5 miles into the hike. The time is 6:15 in the morning. So I am basically doing a loop from the inn that I'm staying at in Keene Valley on 73. So I came in and did the long hike in the dark, headlamped it in, and now I'm getting ready to start ascending Marcy first, and then I'll go down and do Haystack, Basin, Saddleback, Gothics, Armstrong, Upper Wolfjaw, Lower Wolfjaw, Hedgehog, and then Roostercomb, and then I'll go out to Roostercomb Trailhead and walk back to the inn. So I'm getting ready to ascend, and I believe this I don't think is Marcy. I think this is Little Marcy right here. So, and then I think Marcy is behind that. Walking along by the stream here, which is really nice. Sounds to hear in the birds. I actually filled up just past Bushnell Falls. I did see there was another place on the map, but I just filled up there, got everything. I'm carrying with me all the water that I'll need for the entire hike. So I have 2 liters, 2 20-ounce, and a 17-ounce. So I know it's recommended to have about 3.5 liters, so I think I should be pretty good. I am glad to have the sun coming up instead of headlamping it. It's kind of nice to not have to just be in the dark tunnel. So the Great Range Traverse. I had a feeling I wanted to do this hike on this trip. I just didn't know. It's really easy to have hiker amnesia and not remember how hard it is and how hard the hikes are out here. I don't really have any elevation like this to train in Minnesota, although I do a lot of hiking, but I really just wanted to accomplish a big hike. And the closer I got to this trip, it just was like, I gotta do it. So if I feel it, I'm gonna do it. So I just ripped the Band-Aid off. I'm the second day here and of this trip. And I'm just gonna do it. I'll hopefully do it. I'll hopefully make it. It's just been something I want to check off my list. According to Backpacker Magazine, it's the number 3 hardest day hike in America. I am doing a little bit of a longer loop around, going from the inn and doing a loop opposed to starting at the lodge. Maybe 3 extra miles or so, but I'm solo out here, so I don't have an option to do a point to point and, use 2 cars. Shuttles don't run as early as I wanted to start. I wanted to make sure I had plenty of time to get this done today. So here I am and just gonna do the damn thing. Bit of mud to puddle jump across. Navigation for this trek, I am using All Trails. They actually had this hike on there starting at the Garden Trailhead and finishing at Roostercomb. So it's been very helpful, especially in the dark. I always struggle coming through the campsites because, all the paths that veer off and when you're in the dark. So having the All Trails was very handy. Mileage for this trip, I think it's going to be 25 or north of 25 miles, 10 peaks. I don't even know how much elevation gain, 9,000, maybe 10,000. This is what I think of as a marathon in the mountains. Hopefully not a sign of things to come. I just had one ill-placed foot on a log that rolled, and then I pivoted and put my hand down on a rock and it slid. So I kind of hit over here too. I'm going to get this cleaned up and get a Band-Aid on just to stop the bleeding. I've reached the junction. So Marcy is going to be an out and back to go get Marcy. And then we'll come back to here and we will continue on to go down to Haystack. Ran into 2 hikers coming down and they did Marcy for sunrise. They came in from South Meadows and they warned me, they're also doing the traverse, so that's awesome. But they warned me that it's extremely windy on top of Marcy, which you would think it's the tallest peak in New York State. But they said, you know, they were wearing multiple layers and it's just very windy. So I probably won't get a lot of good video on top of there. Just fair warning. Time up there will probably be brief. High enough to get a view of our day. So we got Haystack here, and then we'll go down and start traversing along there. We got Basin, and then head down that way. Now getting a view of Marcy. There's Marcy. I think this is little Marcy, this little guy over here. So we'll go hit that and then go get Marcy. Time to scramble on top of little Marcy. Back to the junction. I am popping my power-ups here. We are headed over to Haystack. Getting a little bit of a steep rock scramble coming up to Haystack and then getting up there. Popping out of the tunnel here for a second. Get a view of what we just did. There's Marcy. And then up next is Little Haystack. There we go. Little Haystack, Haystack. Reach the junction to go do Little Haystack, Haystack, and then come back, another out and back. Marcy and Haystack are the only two out and backs on this. And then going down the rest of the range, we'll go up and over. Yep, I just almost fell. Standing on top of Little Haystack. Now let's go get Haystack. I will say this is a reason I'm not a fan of out and backs, especially out and backs that have peaks involved, is that you always have to go back up and over any of the peaks that you already summited or went over. So at least I don't have to go back over Haystack, and I didn't have to go over Marcy. These little ones don't necessarily count, but they are a bit of a scramble. Getting a view too of our next two targets. We got Basin and Saddleback. Those will be the next two after this. High peak number 21. Just summited Haystack. That was kind of a grind to get up, especially with Little Haystack. And then having to go back up and over Little Haystack. It was nice. I ran into a hiker from New Hampshire, so it was kind of nice to get a break and chat with them for a few minutes. I just ran into a pair coming up as I was going down, and they said, "You didn't happen to lose a headlamp, did you?" And I thought, well, that certainly could be a possibility. And then they described it. And I was like, yep, that's mine. I had stuck it. Like I reached back and put it in, probably not very well. And it probably got stuck, you know, on a tree branch or whatever and got pulled out. They're like, it's hanging on the right at the junction to go over to Basin. So it's hanging there waiting for me. I'm so glad I ran into them. All right, so I made it down. This was the sign I thought that they were talking about because they said the sign to Basin should be here. Oh, I didn't see it, and now I see it. It's right there, hanging in the tree. There you are, my friend, like a shiny little ornament. And I know exactly how I lost it too. I was reaching back for my Nerds gummy candies, and no doubt when I reached back and grabbed that and pulled it out, the headlamp went with it onto the ground. Onward to Basin. Unless there's something really of note, I don't know how much you're gonna see kind of in between. It's all the same. You're going over rocks and big boulders the entire time. The trail is very similar the entire way. There'll be some other like cool spots like going up the ladders and stuff like that, and I'll show that, but won't probably see a whole lot in between when it's just this rocky trail. For those of you that don't know, I love birds. I actually have a old cabinet that's glass front. It's not stained glass, but it has like the metal etching and it's clear, and I call it my bird cage, and I keep my bird art in there. And my son made a bird and I framed it and I put it in there. I absolutely love it. It is one of my prized possessions. I love that bird that he drew. Here we go, first ladder. Always fun seeing what we accomplished here. We got Marcy, little haystack. We're on our final ascent to Basin. Made it to the top of Basin. High peak number 21 and high peak number 3 for the day. 3 of 10. 8 high peaks. The other 2 are not high peaks. Hedgehog and Roostercomb are not high peaks, but I'm including them. Well, Hedgehog you go over, like it's on the way, but I will divert and go up Roostercomb to complete the traverse. I'll be at high peak 21 for the rest of the day. On my previous trip out here last year, I already did Saddleback, Gothics, Armstrong, Upper and Lower Wolfjaw, so I won't pick up any more today. So we should be in for a treat. Although I have done Saddleback before, I have not done Saddleback from this way. So my first time I get to do the infamous Saddleback Cliffs. Getting a view of the Saddleback Cliffs. I'm not a giant, so I can't stretch up those boulders. So we'll see how this goes. Seeing it from here is a little more scary than probably being up close, but maybe I shouldn't have looked when I came down here. All right, here we go. Slow and steady. I wish I would have taken a video of it down there, but I literally stared at that slab and was like, how am I gonna get up this thing? I'm not tall enough. I'm not, like, the marker is like right on the front of like an 8-foot slab, and there's like no handholds or footholds. So I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I figured it out. I can always figure it out. But I literally stared at that thing. I'm like, what? Huh? It was not computing. I made it up the cliffs. I would not want to go down those. Oh, and I would not want to do that in the rain either way. Oh, dang. That was no joke in some spots. High peak number 4 for today. We still have 6 peaks left on this journey. 4 more high peaks to hit. So I said before, I have been on Saddleback before from the other way and then down the range. So a little bit more on familiar ground. Now everything else I've done down to Lower Wolfjaw. I have not done Hedgehog or Roostercomb, and then that trail out. So that will all be new to me. It's just a gorgeous day. I am about, here this will give you a hint into how slow the hiking is out here, how hard it is. I am 9.5 hours into my day. It's 12:30 right now, and I've hiked 15.5 miles. All right, I'm gonna sit here for a minute, refill my water, and then it's gonna be on to Gothics. A view of our next peak. It's so far down and so far back up. Just getting to the junction. Gothics is that way. 0.6. Also, I mentioned before that I've done the lower Great Range already and have a video on it. Those videos might have a little more detail on Saddleback to lower Wolfjaw, like more showing the trail than I'm going to show today. So I'll link that video here. This video though will have more of the stats of the Great Range traverse on time and elevation and all of that kind of fun stuff. We meet again. The Gothics Cables. It is no longer a hose. They replaced it with a chain, so that's nice. The hose had metal splinters in it, and when I did need to use it last time, I did get poked by it and it bled, but I can only imagine if you had slid your hand down it, you could end up with a really nasty gash. It's all coming back to me now. It is so hard climbing up these slides. Your calves are screaming. You're out of breath. Beautiful views though. We got Saddleback, Marcy's in the background, Haystacks behind that, and then Basin is here. We're nearing the final ascent here. Pardon my huffing and puffing, but made it up the cables. This is like the second set. There's another set down there, and I think it's just those two sets. So for reference, this is straightforward, and that's down. It's so hard to get the depth on video. Then there's this third, there's no cables on this, but this is really steep to get to the top here. I don't think that that's quite the top. I think you kind of do a walk over there to get to the summit, but again, it's impossible to show the depth. That's straightforward and up. So basically, I think last time I kind of followed this crack here, just kind of stay near it, and that seemed to be helpful. I mean, you could walk right up this, but if I slip and start rolling, I'm going down, 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 hopefully stopping there, but you could end up going over. I don't think I showed this in my last video, so I'll go into a little more detail here. So I'm kind of like in this crack. You can see, like, you can stand in here. So it's just very helpful. You can stop and take a break and then, you know, rest a leg here and feel a little more secure. Remember what I said, don't get too excited. I knew that the summit wasn't over the top. You still have to kind of walk down, go across here, and still climb up. That is the summit. Peak number 5. Just summited Gothics. The true summit's a few steps that way. There's people over there, I can hear them. So I thought I'd do the video over here. It's really close by and beautiful views here. So especially you can see kind of our day. You got Marcy and Haystack and Basin, Saddleback, and now Gothics. I think I'm going to continue the trek over to Armstrong and have a later lunch there. I haven't really eaten anything super substantial yet. 10.5 hours in. It's 1:30, so it took me an hour to get from Saddleback. I think I said 12:30 when I was there, and it's 1:30 now, so an hour to get from Saddleback to over here. And I am 16.5 miles in, 10.5 hours in for the day. So I think I'm gonna head on over to Armstrong. We've reached our turnoff. Armstrong, 0.4, this way. Made it to the top of Armstrong. There was a whole group up here, so I sat and chatted with them for a little bit, and they just took off. So high peak number 6 for the day. We have 2 high peaks left, and then Hedgehog, Roostercomb. So one thing to note is, I've heard this before in other videos, is that Marcy to Basin and Saddleback, that kind of takes the longest. So I mean, obviously there's still peaks and up and down, but those are either further apart, you know, Marcy's the tallest peak. So I do feel like I'm in the home stretch, which is nice. I've got all my snacks laid out. I'm eating all the stuff. I'm going to reset and get the rest of my bars and stuff in easy places to grab. Checking my water. So I came in, I had said with the 2 liters, the 220s, and a 17. I still have 2 liters. No. I have a liter. I have a 23 that one is, and then I have my 20 ounce full here. So I haven't been conserving water. Like anytime I've been thirsty, I'm drinking water, but I do feel like I should be drinking more water. So I do have plenty of water to get me through this hike, so I'm not concerned about that at all. I have plenty of food to get me through this hike. It is 2:30. I'm at 17 and a half miles. I am 11 hours and 31 minutes into this hike, and I'm at 8,524 for elevation gain. It's needed to sit down and take a second to eat and probably rest, but my legs, I just kind of want to live here now. Like, I do not want to get up. And that's the problem with stopping, and that's why I don't like to stop and sit down. I do feel like I, need to, and it's necessary, but it takes me just a little bit more to like get going after sitting. So I like to keep it moving on hikes. I'm feeling pretty good. So for shoes, I wore my Topo Traverse. They're on their last leg. I'm at the end of the season. I've been rocking them on my through hike, my North Shore hikes. They're ready to, become mowing shoes at this point. But they're good on the up, but on the down, I notice I'm sliding. I've taken some diggers on this hike. I feel like my footwork's been a little sloppy, and I don't know if it's just, being tired, but I'm from last time to this time, I just am noticing I'm tripping and falling a lot more. For the rest of the hikes out here, I'll wear my Technicas. I thought I'd be doing, when I ran in from the garden, from Keene Valley to the garden, I just thought, I'd be a little more nimble with the Topo, and they did great on Giant and Rocky Peak Ridge, but I am finding on some of the slides here going down that I really wish that I had those Technicas and more grip. These rocks are actually very grippy, but when they get kind of covered in mud and then the mud dries, it does get very slippy. And some of them you don't have the sides to hold on to, so you're going straight down. So I've butt scooted and literally slid on my butt down a couple of them. First started the hike, I was just so hungry. I was like, oh my gosh, did I bring enough food? And I wanted sugar and treats, and now I'm kind of like, I don't want food anymore. So I'm trying to kind of force the sandwich down. I'll maybe save the other half of this for Roostercomb when I get there, kind of give me a little boost to get out of here, and have my bars. I'll maybe eat a couple more beef sticks. But the kind of stuff I brought on this hike was, I got the Target knockoff Cliff Bars, and these are actually really good. Taste really good. Usually on hikes like this is when I'll get these bars to eat. I also really like the honey stingers. I bring some beef sticks. This time, it's melting. I brought my candy bar, and it's melting in the sun. Some trail mix, peanut butter and jelly, and then I had more bars of the same that I ate earlier. I ate a honey stinger earlier, I ate one of these bars, and I ate the Target knockoff Z bars, the kids bars. They're actually really good. I like them. I think I've covered all the stats for the hike so far with time and elevation and footwear. I guess I could also, kind of mention my pack. I got the Outdoor Vitals 30-liter fast pack specifically for this trip. And yes, if you follow any of my videos, I have a lot of packs. I have a little gear room that I hang them all up. I should do probably some in a gear exchange here and there, but I love them. I love getting them. And I specifically got this pack for the fast pack to be able to kind of trail run in a little bit and be a little more nimble out here. I really like this pack. It's got quite a bit of pockets up front and zips, so I can keep all my snacks and everything up front because it doesn't have the hip belts. But I actually have liked that, not having that kind of going up the rock and having that around. All I end up doing is just sweating a lot. And then I have my the outside pocket here. I keep snacks and stuff in. I can reach back and get in there. Kind of hazard of that is that you might, lose it like I did with my headlamp earlier. And then what is also nice is it has the under pocket down here, so I can put my wrappers in here. I could put snacks and stuff in here as well, and there's a zip on the side, so I have my first aid kit in there that I can reach if I need. And then you just have a ton of room in the main compartment here. It does come with two 17-ounce actually I think I brought one. Here we go. So it comes with these hider packs, and they go on each of the sides so that you can have these full of water. I prefer my water bottle to having these. I don't like leaning down. I don't like biting it. So I have them. I did fill mine up with water, filtered water to have on the hike. I could see an instance possibly in the future I could use those, so that would be nice. But a 20-ounce smart water bottle does fit in the side here. All right, that is going to be a wrap on lunchtime. I'm going to get all of this cleaned up, maybe snack just a little bit more, and then get back on the trail. We are going to hit Upper Wolfjaw next. I know what you're probably thinking of all of my summit views is they all look the same. I know, I get it. It just doesn't feel right going up there and not taking a video of the summit. Just summited Upper Wolfjaw. This is high peak 7 of 8 for the day and 7 of 10 for the traverse. We're the only ones up here. You can see it's a very small summit. Stats are, the time is 3:30. I am 12 hours and 32 minutes into the day, 18.25 miles, and I am at 8,858 feet of elevation gain. I'm gonna do my thing, take a few pictures, and then we're gonna head over to Lower Wolfjaw. One thing that popped in my head that I did want to mention was, if you've never done any of the peaks out here and you're coming out here for a challenge, I don't know if I'd recommend, I guess it depends on, what you've done in the past and all of that kind of stuff. But for me, I don't know if I'd come out here and just do the Great Range Traverse without having hiked some of the other peaks. It was a good intro to do the lower Great Range last time, because mentally I knew this time that the other ones were going to take a little bit longer, and I knew how long it would take me roughly to get from Saddleback to Lower Wolfjaw, so that just helped a little bit. Whereas if I didn't know that and I had done the first few, I would have thought like it's going to be just as hard, but it does get easier. And coming out here last time, that was just a good intro to the peaks, and you kind of get an understanding of how long it takes to hike and all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, some people have experienced hiking all over and doing mountains and stuff, so probably not a problem for them. Me, I'm in Minnesota. I don't have a lot of hills. I don't have a lot of that there. So I do quite a bit of hiking. I'm a pretty aggressive hiker. And even I've been humbled by these mountains. So just something to think about. So it's these things you come across and you have to kind of sit and think for a second. That is steeper than it looks to go down. I couldn't even slide down that. I'd fall right down. I think I can probably go to that edge and then find a way down from that side. But these are always the ones you kind of roll up on and have to give pause to and find a strategy. Actually, now that I'm here, I couldn't really see this over there, is that you always can find too, sometimes there's these cracks so you can just stair step it down. That is where I'm going. I remember you from last time. Another stair step to get down, but there is the ladder way down there. Looks like a new one. Another reason I'm glad I started early. It is getting toasty out. Like down in the lower, it's not, but when you're up climbing, one, you start sweating, and then up at those peaks, it is warm. Just went up, and I'm probably gonna go down here over the notch, and then the ascent to Lower Wolfjaw. It is something to keep in mind, kind of for mental, is that almost all of the peaks have these notches as well, and you've seen me throughout the day go up and over them, and they're not nothing to go over. So you just want to think of that is that there's kind of a peak before the peak. So an example of that is I just came over the notch, and that's where I need to go. So I just climbed up and climbed down, and then now I get to ascend Lower Wolfjaw. At another junction, now we have a half mile to Lower Wolfjaw. Last time I was here, I went and did Lower Wolfjaw, and then I came and descended down back to the garden. And now the end is in sight. 0.5 to get to Lower Wolfjaw, 5.7 to get back to Roostercomb trailhead, and then I have a short walk to get back to the inn. Get a view from this side. So that's just the notch there. So up and over that, it gives you some, obviously this peak is higher than the notch. So I'm only, I don't know. I just passed a sign that said it was 0.3. So it was 0.5 for 0.3 now. So I'm getting closer. We made it. Summited Lower Wolfjaw. The climb up Lower Wolfjaw, whew, had me going. Let's turn this around for some stats. So it is 4:36, 19.6 miles, 13 hours, 36 minutes, and I'm at 9,650 feet of elevation gain. So the sign, if I can read it, I am 1.9, I want to say, from Hedgehog, and then 3.2 from Roostercomb, and then 5.2 to get to the trailhead. Instead of doing my panoramic videos that you guys love so much, I will just show you can't really see a whole lot. There's some trees right here. So that's the summit. Before I can move on to Hedgehog, I forgot to mention that this was high peak 8 of 8. So I have hit all the high peaks today. I just have the other two. Hedgehog I think is just literally like a rock, and it goes like up and down. So I don't think that's anything worth note. But the Roostercomb, I'm gonna do, I think it's like a 0.3 out and back, which I don't think is counted in the miles over there. So 0.3 out and I think 0.3 back. I could be wrong on the mileage. And now this has me embarking on a new trail. So last time, like I mentioned, I went back down Lower Wolfjaw and then went down the Lower Wolfjaw trail that way. So this is all new to me. Right. This is Hedgehog, the top of Hedgehog. So I'm a little out of breath. Everything goes up, down, up, down. So it's been a little rocky. There were some parts I could kind of do a little trail running on. It is 5:30 right now, and I'm 14 and a half hours in. Sunset's at 7:10. I still have 1.6 miles to get to Roostercomb. I have the out and back on Roostercomb, and then I have another 2 miles to get in to town. I have my headlamp, so it's not the end of the world if the sun does go down. Personal goal, I wanted to finish before the sunset and the sun went down. So I am going to kind of trail run a little bit where I can, just to make up some time to get out. It's just, with my legs are pretty tired and the rocks and the roots, it's just not super safe for me to be running, but I'm trying to do a little or kind of fast hike just to keep the pace up. Everything is uphill around here. It's just all uphill. There's down when you're coming down. I just feel like there's very little flat. I'm really hoping for some flat on the Roostercomb out. When I was talking with Corey at the top of Rocky Peak yesterday, she said it was fairly flat, but I don't know if that means like flat, but with a lot of like rocks and roots and stuff, where it's just really hard to trail around. So we'll see. It's been really hard to trail. It's really hard for me to walk uphill at this point just because I have to stop and I just can't go super fast. But to trail run, like, out of the question. All right, made it to the junction for Roostercomb. Roostercomb, half mile back. So I got 1 mile there and I have 2 miles back to Route 73, Roostercomb trailhead, and then a little bit further to get to my inn. So I am going to, obviously from here, it's going to be uphill half a mile, and I'm just not cruising too fast either downhill. Just so hopefully the trail out is not too bad, but my footwork is just sloppy. My big toe that I kind of it turned black on my Superior hiking trail trip. It is, I keep slamming it into rocks, and on the way down one of them, like a tree branch, like stabbed directly into the toe. So what's going on down there is none of my business. I'm just getting through this hike. I am very scared to take my socks off later though. So just to correct myself too, the 1.6 included the summit of Roostercomb because I got there half mile before I thought that was just to the base down there, and then this was added on. But no, the summit of Roostercomb, 10 out of 10. I don't consider this traverse done until I get back to the inn. So I am done. I'd say I'm done climbing, but I have no idea what I have waiting for me on the way out of here. I don't think it should be anything big, but if it's kind of, up, down. What a day. Surprisingly, I didn't mentally struggle on this hike. Physical, yes, but I didn't kind of start having some of those, like the mental struggle until coming down Lower Wolfjaw on my way to Hedgehog. It just, for some reason, I just thought, it would be a little smoother. I could trail run, like kind of smooth sailing. I don't know why I thought that. I thought it was a possibility. I just wasn't expecting it. So that kind of all of a sudden that, and then, with the sun going down, I just was, a little, it just made me anxious. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about kind of knowing the terrain. That the start of coming down Lower Wolfjaw was the area I didn't know. So, I didn't know what to expect. All right, you know the drill. Photo time, do a quick little video, and then I am heading down. Just realizing I don't think I did a stat check up here. I am at 6:30, 23 miles in, 15 hours, 30 minutes, 10,500 feet of elevation gain. I got 2 miles to get out of here. Let's go. Made it to the Roostercomb trailhead parking 5 minutes after sunset, so not too bad. I've got a short little walk back to the inn where we'll go back there and kind of debrief. I've seen a lot of beautiful things today, but this parking lot was right up there with one of the top. Hikers know. All right, let's finish this up. Holy cow, my first close bear encounter. There's a bear right there. I heard a big noise. I looked over. There's literally like a bear trying to climb a tree, and it looked over at me, and I was like, not expecting that. Damn. I made it back to the inn. Final stats for this, 25.9 miles. 10,500 feet of elevation gain, and 16 hours, 22 minutes. I don't know if I want to get up from this chair. All in all, it was actually a really good hike. It was grueling, it was very physical, but I didn't start kind of have to bring in the mental piece and struggling with like the mental piece until I left Lower Wolfjaw. After I descended Lower Wolfjaw, when the sun goes down behind the mountain, it gets really dark in the forest there. So again, had my headlamp, no big deal, but had I lost my headlamp today, that could have been a problem for me. So I would have been even more anxious. Everything held up great. The only thing I would have done in hindsight is I would have squirreled away one of the cold brews that I have in my room. I would have brought that to drink kind of around the time of Marcy. I really feel like I could have used like a little bit more go-go juice. So I would have kind of squirreled that away to drink that. So I would have done that. And then I also would have worn my Technicas. Really did scoot down those slides. I struggled with my feet with them a little bit, just in the grip. Those are the swaps that I would make. Other than that, I mean, my route, the route, I kind of didn't have a lot of options on route, especially, I had mentioned before, shuttles and, being solo, I had to do the loop. So there's not a whole lot of other ways to do the loop, especially I wanted to go in and do Marcy and then come down. Well, I am ready for some food. I want to eat all the food right now. I am going to go make some food, and then I'm going to eat a ton of treats. That is going to be a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe to follow along on my future adventures. I hope to see you on the trail. Stay wild.